Okay, everybody, let's take a look at what I think is going to happen going into tomorrow or early next week. Or I think we got fear of missing out going on here, folks. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some observations, and then we're going to talk about the interpretation of the observation. Okay. So first of all, the most obvious thing we got going on here is, well, we got ourselves a doji, and it's almost, but not quite, an evening star. Now, an evening star, the actual little doji body would have to finish little above, at least at or above the previous day's close, which it didn't do. So it looks like an evening star, but it's not quite. Okay, but it's definitely a doji, and we can see that the volume is the big tell here, guys. Look at this volume that came in. Okay. So you had volume decreasing as price was going up. Volume was coming down, 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 down. And then you could see here let's see, Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday, you could really see the volume was tapering off. The candlesticks kept getting smaller. I was noticing that from the open to the close, got smaller from here to there and there, right? Just kept getting smaller. So if you measure the distance or the price difference between open and close from here to here, it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? That's what happened. But the big tell here is that volume dropped off, and then we got this spike. So what that observation, what does it mean? Well, it means there was effort, right? Whenever we see volume go up, guys, that means there was effort put in, right? There was effort. But the result was what? A small doji, right? If you look back here, you can see there was effort on this candlestick, right? You can see volume was higher going up. Volume was higher there than it was around it. And the result was, well, a nice healthy candlestick, right? Look at this volume back here. Look at the volume on that. Nice volume. High volume. Okay? And what was the result on that day? A nice, fairly healthy candlestick. Right? It ended up having a nice, healthy, positive green day. Sure, there was a long lower wick, which no doubt put a lot of fear in traders, but it ended up being a healthy candlestick. So the volume, which is effort, the result was bullish. Okay, so now hopefully a little better understanding about volume really equates to effort. Okay, now here you can see there's more effort for sure on Friday than there was the entire time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trading days before it. Well, okay, 6. But the result this time was this almost an evening star looking doji. Okay, so that's our observation. Okay, and the interpretation here, guys, really is that there was profit taking probably by strong hands on Friday, right? As retail traders did their final push with effort to go to all-time highs. It's, probably what's going on there. So what does that really all mean in the end? Well, we all know where this is going. They're all afraid, or there's fear of missing out. That's what that interpretation is. That's the most likely interpretation. Retail traders chased that price higher and kept pushing. Push, push, push. We got to get to all-time highs, which happened barely, but it did. Okay? So there was obviously a lot of selling going on there, right? Sellers came in as price action over the last 3 days continued to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And volume down, down, down. Volume spike. Yep. So that's fear of missing out. Let's take a look at the stochastic momentum index. You can see it's beginning to roll over. Trying to roll over pretty hard there. Hopefully it does. Give us something to go on. Now you see right here on the Big Daddy forecast, we had that little spike right there 2 days ago. I would like to see that at that time, on that day, it was 404, which is pretty decent. I mean, it isn't like what we had back here and back here. You know, those were in the 450s, and I think one of them was almost 460. And there was one in July that was in the 450s. So this isn't quite as strong as those two events, for sure. Okay? So we had 404 on this day. Relatively speaking, for all of the measurements of this indicator around it, obviously it's, you know, fairly strong, right? And then we can see it's giving some confirmation that price decline is going to continue. That's 2 days in a row that we've seen the Big Daddies pointing down. Okay. So I see this really as, you know, let's clear this all out. Getting a little messy here. I see this as number one, and then number two is the volume spike. Got the almost looking evening star doji. Volume spike. That's a biggie. Okay. Three was Big Daddy, or you even could say a couple days ago, maybe that was really number one, right? If we really want to do things in order, and the only reason I don't really call this number one right now is because it wasn't as strong as I'd like it to be, but let's just call that number one. We got that spike, and the next day was down. Okay. The number two would clearly be this doji. Almost evening star looking doji. Just as important as the doji, guys, though, is the volume. I hate to even put a 3 on it. We can call these both are number two here. Okay. Number three, because they're happening in this order, right? Or number four, I should say, is that we begin to see stochastic momentum index starting to roll over. And actually, you know what? We're going to make that number five. Because really, number four is the VIX. And why do I say that? Because we had this spike right there in the Big Daddy forecast 2 days ago, and then on Friday, or I should say Thursday, we had this little dip right here in the doji, and Friday it confirmed it by coming up. And I know for a lot of people it may not seem like a big deal, but it is a big deal when you consider the order in which things happened. That's what makes it a big deal, or at least something we should take notice of, and that we can at least observe it and then interpret it, right? So that's the observation. The observation is that strong hands sold on Friday as retail traders pushed it higher. And it looks like to me you got fear of missing out going on. And so the most likely scenario is probably a short side opportunity would be my guess. Now, it may not happen immediately, because look how we had some that kind of happen over here. Definitely different this time. This is much stronger, right? So I don't know if we're going to get, you know, a couple more days where it kind of just moves sideways and then we get some down action. It's hard to say for sure. But I would say if this had been an evening star, then that would have been, you know, if it had just been a little bit higher there, boy, if it had gapped up just a touch, even a point or two off of Thursday, then we would have had an evening star, and that would have been a little bit definitely stronger. Of course, if it gapped up and just gave us a little doji like up in there and gave us that shooting star, well, then, you know, then you have a lot of confidence of that going on. So it's not quite as strong as I'd like to see it to call a short side opportunity, but there's enough going on there to where I think, you know, there's a greater chance of a short side opportunity here than otherwise. And I really look like, to me, on Friday, you got the old FOMO going on as retail traders were, you know, chasing that price and really determined to push it to all-time highs. And it ended up, you know, with this this scenario we got here and this observation we got going on right now. Now, one of the last things I want to say, as I get ready to close this video out, is there's some uncertainty about what the cycle is. You know, we got this going on right here. It's a really big cycle. And I'm not thoroughly convinced that this is the new cycle, because this is a huge cycle. It's like 31 days, I think. Big cycle, 31 days cycle. That's unusual. So I'm not convinced this is the cycle, but for now, we're going to keep it right there. And I'm ready to make a change to this cycle at a moment's notice, because I'm not convinced this is the cycle. It could be this is the low instead of this. And then we get back more to like maybe a 25-day cycle or 20, you know, something like that. I mean, 31-day cycle is a little bit unusual. So I don't think, my instincts tell me this is not going to survive. this 31-day thingy is not going to survive. I don't think it's going to stick around. I'm just speculating that this is the top, which it may not be. So I'm putting this yellow line there to just wait to see what happens. Okay. So I'm not going to put a whole lot of credence into the cycles yet, because I want to see what happens before I can get a good feel about this. The other possibility here is we could really, and I talked about this before, we could get into some sideways chop here for a while. It could easily happen. Okay, but I think on the short term, there is probably some short side opportunities here. It's probably what's going to happen. Okay. Okay. Now, I haven't forgotten, before I close out this video, about the secret cycle. Okay. I've been working hard on that. It's been, there's been some serious revelation. I mean, all I got to tell you is, wow, it's going to be a really good video, guys. I'm going to continue to work on it today. I don't know if I'm going to put it out today. It might be tomorrow, but I've been working on it pretty much for the whole weekend. It's going to be a real eye-opener for a lot of people. I think I'll throw in just a little tiny teaser here for you guys, a visual teaser, as I finish up this video. So stick around for the very end. You'll see the teaser there. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, guys and gals, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget to click the thumbs up. I appreciate that. And don't forget to click that little bell to be notified of all the videos as I put them out. We'll talk to you all real soon again next time.